spiritual spouse or sex in the dreams. Now, is it biblical? Does Bible talk about? Let's take a look. In Isaiah chapter 34 verse 14, it says, "The wild beasts of the desert shall also meet with jackals, and the wild goat shall bleat to its companion. Also the night creature shall rest there, and find for herself a place of rest." A night creature. Now in your Bible, if you're reading that, it will have a little thing on the top of that night creature, and then if you look below in the footnotes, it will say Lilith, night creature. Now in most of the religions of this world, they had these demons, they call them incubus and succubus, where this male demon or male entity that will come in the sleep and have sex with women, and this female entity that will come and have sex with men, seduce them, sometimes steal their children. And so there was a lot of myths that were going on both in Jewish culture and in other cultures. But these are not myths, these are realities of things that people are battling with and people are struggling with. We see that in book of Genesis chapter 6, that spiritual entities, the sons of God, and I believe, like many people believe, that this is not, sons of God are not necessarily the descendants of Seth, but sons of God, these are the angels. These are people who were part of God's divine council, people who were a part of God's team, God's, part of the hosts. They started to come on the earth and they started to make love to women. They started to have physical relationships with women. And Jude tells us, the half-brother of Jesus, tells us that because they crossed these boundaries God has set for these sons of God, these spirits, then God eventually punished them and He locked them up in the prison. Now, it's possible for evil spirits, for demonic spirits, to be able to have this kind of a sexual relationship. Spirits can take on a physical form. We see that angels can take on a physical form. They can walk, they can talk, they can eat, they can have their feet washed. And we see the same thing with demons, is they can also take on a spiritual form. These spiritual entities would come and have sex with women, and there will be an offspring that will be produced. These giants, these Nephilims that will be produced. Now this thing continues today, where demons have sex with people. Now, not necessarily that physical children are produced, but they impregnate these people with spiritual perversion. They impregnate this person with spiritual confusion. The offspring of these encounters, they last through the day. Sometimes they destroy relationships, they destroy marriages, and they destroy a person's peace and ability to function. Because Satan's ultimate goal is to bring restlessness and to disconnect you from God and from other people. Now, even Saint Augustine in the City of God book, he mentioned, and I'm going to quote, "There is also a very general rumor. Many have verified by their own experience, and trustworthy persons have corroborated the experience told by others, that salvans and fauns, commonly called incubi, have often made wicked assaults upon women." So meaning these incubus and succubus, the incubus is pretty much comes from the Latin word, and nightmare induced by a demon. It takes a form of a man and it makes love to a woman. And succubus, it's pretty much similar word. It takes a form of a woman to have sex with men. And sometimes, as in Isaiah, we see it's the creature of the night creature, the demon of Lilith, that comes in and has these intercourses with the person during the sleep and torments them as well through that, and causes division, restlessness, and lack of peace. Now, these spiritual sexual spirits, or spirits that cause this thing in the sleep, they can molest and torment individuals. A lot of times they can also cause wet dreams and orgasm. They cause a person to be emotionally drained, because it's like a spiritual rape. And this dream sex can be so intense, and actually in some cases it could be addictive. This dream state results in sexual orgasm, it followed by guilt, and a lot of times condemnation and accusation. These evil spirits, they delight in inflicting pain, fear, and mental anguish. And a lot of times people cannot get married, or their marriages end up in divorce, or they have no affection, or they have no sex drive for their spouse. Now, I'm not in any way saying that if you're battling with any of these things that I just mentioned, that it must be that. But if you have something that comes to you at night, and something that takes on the face of someone else and has sex with you in the sleep, and this continues regularly, you're battling, you're struggling with wet dreams, and you're waking up and you feel like, man, I just had an orgasm in the sleep, and this is something that is repeated, and you're watching also pornography, or you're battling with lust or other things, you're dealing with the spirit that is very common. And almost every person that I know that does deliverance has one time or another dealt with this in delivering people from demons. And once the people were delivered, all of this nonsense stopped. The married folks, a lot of times they would find their love and affection for each other, and those who are not married, many times God will bring them to marriage, because these demons would hold them back, because these demons are very jealous of you being with somebody else. They're almost like attached themselves, and they're very jealous of you being with somebody else.
That's our time in this video. I believe you were inspired by it. Then give it a thumbs up and subscribe if you're new to this channel for more great content like this. Remember to take responsibility on what you learned today. This video is proudly sponsored by our patrons. You too can support this channel by visiting our Patreon page. The link is in the video description below. I want to say a big thank you to all our patrons out there. I am Buddha's Jumesi from Wisdom for Dominion. Thank you for watching, and see you in our next video.